Okay, so I got a thing here on a scientific method. And I was reading Malcolm Gladwell the other day. I got to thinking that in regards to scientific method relating to atheism or theism, the thing I downloaded says, okay, what is scientific method? Observation / question. Is there or is there not a God? Research topic area. That's easy to do. Just go anywhere, research stuff, ask people, whatever the hell. Hypothesis. My hypothesis is that with atheism, it's difficult to prove. So if it's not verifiable by scientific method, then atheism isn't backed up by scientific method. With theism, let's say I was raised non-denominational Christian, the Christian message becomes made in flesh through people that are adherents that go out and feed the homeless, that help the less fortunate. So in that sense, the essence, the spirit, if you want to call it that, of Christ lives on through the practitioners of Christianity. And you can apply that to any belief structure, any belief system where the people are going out into the world and taking the message out into the world and doing the right thing with it. Let's just say, Christ consciousness type thing to be easy conversation, since I live in the United States of America. And then it says, so my hypothesis is certain things are viewed certain ways. I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but that I think that the proof of theism or a God existing isn't what some people are looking for. You can prove it basically, though, by seeing how the adherents to, let's say, a religion or spiritual practice behave. So it's like, even though the deity they might perceive to be dead in some way, shape, or form is still alive within the person. The God is the macrocosm. The human is the microcosm. We are a reflection of that thing, so we can literally go out into the world and make that message manifest in flesh. Our flesh, the God's message manifests in our flesh by going out and doing kind deeds to one another and treating each other like the Golden Rule says. Treat others how you want to be treated. And you can see the Golden Rule in basically, just about every religious practice. Then the next thing here on scientific method says test with experiment. Again, go to church, read something about, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, go out into the world and be like Christ. Go be a fisher of men, or humans, whatever the hell you want to say in this day and age. I'm not like, down with the matriarchy or the patriarchy either. I'm just like, do my own thing. I'm all about coexisting in peace, basically. Analyze the data. The data speaks for itself. You go to a soup kitchen that's Christian-oriented, Wiccan, Buddhist, whatever the fuck, some temple. I'm not insulting that. So when I say whatever the fuck, I respect others' beliefs. I'm just pretty liberal. My beliefs towards such things. You can see the data in action, basically. That's, what data is. It's information. You can see the information made flesh through people's actions when they say they want to go help the homeless in the name of Mary or, Saint Timothy or Jesus Christ or, some, God or goddess, from a different path. Let's see here. Report conclusions. I think that speaks for itself. The conclusions are that with atheism, I can go out and I can observe the universe. I can sit there and say I've never seen a bearded man in the sky. But, what if those deities were archetypes in the mind of someone? What if it's Plato's allegory that, you're in the cave, you're seeing the shadow on the wall, but then you have a religious experience, and you're the person outside the wall casting the shadow on the wall. So you're kind of like, the creator and also I don't know if that makes sense, and the observer of the creation. But that still doesn't, from an atheistic standpoint, it's like, how do you view a deity? What if it's a part of our mind that's, we're accessing through meditation, exercise, sex, fasting, just the myriad ways, substances, the myriad ways that people access, certain states of consciousness. So I don't think atheism can actually prove, it depends on how you look at something. It can prove that, you might be in church and because you've never seen literally Jesus Christ standing there, that you, haven't met Jesus Christ, but you can meet Jesus Christ through the people that basically have that thing within them. The church is the bride, and Christ was the groom, so you're married to that, allegorically speaking, or if you're literally that's your thing. I don't judge, but you're married to that ideology, that belief system. So you're literally taking. It's like, imagine a spouse in the morning, or a married couple, and they talk to each other about their day, and they take the kindness they get from their spouse if the marriage is good into their office setting, and they spread that kindness. So I can see the theistic view proven correct by scientific method, I believe. I can see my observations proven correct. I can research the topic areas. I can go in my hypothesis that, it depends on how we relate to certain things, shows that things exist or not. I mean, there's just so much with, I don't know if I'm saying this all correct. I'm not like, Bill Nye the Science Guy, whatever the hell. I can see my experiments come back with valid data that backs up that, Jesus, the message is manifest in our flesh, the bride, let's say, if you're into the Christian thing. I was raised non-denominational Christian, if I said that, so that's why I'm saying that. It's a conversation in North America. It's every one of our presidents, I believe, was a Christian or something akin to that. So, I think it's relevant. In my conclusions, my data, everything seems legit. I can't say, if you took an atheist in a Christian church and they saw the kindness of that thing, doesn't that prove that thing, even though that thing's not, you're not seeing like an archangel like manifest and spreading its wings and, it's talking about tetragrammaton or whatever the hell it is, the voice of God, and you're, not like broken down in fear and trembling. It's still, you still see the message basically, like I said, made true through the adherence. I can't see, the lack of deity from an atheistic standpoint seems not verifiable in my opinion. I could be wrong saying this, through scientific method. I can make observations to say because I don't see, certain things, therefore they don't exist. I can research topic areas. I can go see a number of different things and see that, what atheists think about people that have near-death experiences. If it's just your brain firing off chemicals, right before death or something, and why do other people have these experiences? It's kind of fascinating. But I think some people want to be they want like hard evidence, cut and dry. And the more you read, the more you understand that there's just some really fascinating stuff out there in relation to how the brain works. So I can basically prove the theistic side through scientific method, via the Christian thing. But I want to make one thing clear. It's like I'm not supporting zealots that go out there and strap bombs to their chests. Like I watched these documentaries years ago and read a bunch of books, and it's like you have people that they do a bunch of drugs, and then they come and they say, "Oh, your family needs money. Here's drugs, ease your pain. By the way, have you read, the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, the 8, or was it the 8 full path, whatever the hell it is? These things are going to help you." And then they kind of, while they do that, they kind of, put the dagger in your back, get you high on drugs, and they say, "Oh, by the way, I'll pay you a certain amount of money, or pay your family a certain amount of money if you go kill these guys over here because they have a different belief." And it says in the book that I just gave you that, you're supposed to basically be at war with people or be harmful to people, or but it's like the people take the allegories and the holy books, if you call them that, and blow them out of proportion and make them literal, and then you have somebody that literally thinks they're literal and they go strap a bomb to their chest and harm someone. But so I think that's fairly sound in relation to the atheistic, theistic, scientific method thing. But don't quote me on that. Again, like in the past, I used to watch a lot of stuff with atheism. Hitchens, Dawkins, just a bunch of different. Daniel Dennett, like I think his name's Daniel Dennett. A bunch of different people. So like I don't ever want to come from the standpoint of saying like I was raised in a Christian home, so like therefore, my stance is correct, because that's not how I think of the world. I think of like, I definitely vibe well with like the coexist sticker, because it just, coexists, why the fuck not? It just seems legit to, seems like there's like the same message is being said throughout stuff, but just in different ways by different people. So, I'm not like, I'm not like thumping a Bible or like, doing some like weird, stuff that's like harmful to people in the name of, something, but there's just some really fascinating stuff out there. So I just wanted to share that. I think the scientific method kind of proves, it almost makes it really hard to prove atheism, because it kind of leaves everything at a standstill. It's like, you can sit there and say, well, just because you don't, what did Carl Sagan say? It's like absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. So then what is, the evidence if you go into a church and you see the people living, doing what the Bible said thousands of years ago by going out and being, kind to other people, the homeless people, prostitutes, drug addicts. Think of things like Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous. I work with cars. I have the current venture in my life, current moment in my life, and I see a lot of keychains every day and they have NA, AA, Serenity prayers on it. So that gets me thinking that those people, they say these prayers, they have their higher powers. Those things help them overcome and become better individuals. Isn't that proof, that something is there, whether it's just they're accessing a part of their mind? It's like, how do you measure proof? How do you say that, one person's proof is legit and, the other person's isn't? I don't know how you, what's the proper avenue? What does an atheist see as definitive proof? I don't know if that makes sense or not. But, if you had like a kid, like you had a daughter, and she's like 13, and she was meth addicted, and then she got into NA, and then she found God, whatever that was, and she attributed her life and her turnaround to God, and through having proper counsel, let's say, and friends around that were a support group, doesn't that kind of prove that thing exists, even if it's in a roundabout way? It's kind of interesting. And then she didn't go become a zealot or get she wasn't doing some weird stuff. But that's just why I say that, is I've been intimately connected throughout my life with just certain individuals, so, and some of those individuals are a little zealous, for my taste. But again, like I say, I don't judge. I try to understand, because I think there is wisdom in understanding. But yeah, that's all I want to say. Just an interesting, thing I had. I was reading Malcolm Gladwell's David and Goliath the other day. I got the wheels turning, and so I was looking up scientific method, because I just didn't see how, with a question as huge as if you could prove God or not, then what's the context of trying to prove it? And do you just kind of sit there and say, well, if you can't prove that you can see the bearded guy shaving in your mirror in the morning, is that, does an atheist just think that thing doesn't exist? Or, or does the theist realize that the deity they're searching for so much that their faith keeps them tied to is actually being manifested through their kindness? So, or is it just, these stories, these tales, these legends from the past, these religions, these practices, these paths, these spiritual, whatever the hell, are these things just, told, and they're like adult fairy tales, basically? And I don't mean that in a mocking way, but things that have deep ingrained moral lessons, symbols, things which stimulate our subconscious mind in order to kind of, pick up our, no pun intended, but pick up our cross and kind of, carry it to the next place in life. And that makes sense when you look at it that way. But anyway, at least to me, it just makes sense that, even if things are adult fairy tales, that if they're playing a valuable role in our consciousness and still evolving our consciousness. We have that Artemis rocket that got fired recently. We're still using names, from these gods, these goddesses from the past. Artemis was huge in witchcraft, goddess worship. We're still using these things because they're still very relevant to us. We have songs on the radio, you can't, what is it, something about the gods and the goddesses. There wouldn't be the gods without the goddesses, basically. So you see this, that song, Turn Up the Goddess Way. You see all sorts of stuff like that. And so it's still very relevant, it seems like, in our vernacular, in our current state of consciousness. And I just, I was just a little fascinated by that. I just want to share that.